Just listen.
I'm at the gym. I get here 3:30 in the morning to train before the 5 a.m. class. Take the 5 a.m. class, then I'm...
Yeah, thanks for doing this, bro.
Yeah, sure.
Appreciate your time and things.
Yeah, for sure, man.
But I want to give you a chance to just talk about yourself a bit.
Okay.
Just tell people like your background, how you got into CrossFit,
Yeah.
and what it means to you.
So yeah, I've always been into sports. Played soccer when I was a lighty up until pretty much high school. Played a bit of rugby at school. Then raced a lot of motocross. So that took a lot of time on the weekends and the weeks. You know, we traveled all over the countryside with my brother.
Yeah.
We raced motocross, I think, for about 10, 12 years. So it was quite a long time until quite a bad injury. I lost a kidney, burst my liver.
Wow.
Yeah, so after that happened, kind of motocross fizzled out. We just found it too dangerous. I think it was about 20 when it happened. So, you know, the youngster motocross days were kind of going out the window, and then just found myself getting into a gym routine. I used to go to like a Globo gym and I always used to train by myself. So I was very motivated and dedicated to train. It wasn't for anything. So I wasn't into bodybuilding or anything. It was just like as a mental state, trying to stay fit and healthy, especially after my accident, because I mean, it was quite bad sitting in ICU for a week and then in hospital for 3 weeks after that. It was just mentally, I had to try and keep myself strong and healthy, and I kind of realized that after the accident. So I was always into gym and whatnot, and then, yeah, in 2008, my brother introduced me to CrossFit. I'll never forget, he used to nag me, and eventually I said, okay, come, let me give this thing a try. You know, like everyone says, you know, I'm fine with my gym. And yeah, the day I started was the day I cancelled my gym contract, and yeah, I've been hooked ever since.
Yeah. So gymming's been a thing for you before CrossFit. You didn't start exercising when you started
When
CrossFit.
I started CrossFit, no. So obviously with the motocross days, we always try to stay fit, you know, cycling, running, in the gym. And yeah, that just kind of carried through right up until I started CrossFit. So I had a very good strength background. I lifted a lot of weights, and I did the bodybuilding training, but it was never serious like, okay, now I'm going to start doing shows, and so it was never about that.
Yeah.
But just to stay fit and strong and healthy was kind of like, you know, self-motivation for myself. Yeah.
Can we get that mic a little bit closer just to cut out the background noise? So
Is that better?
yeah, it's good.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so it's quite nice to be here in your gym. I mean, I've seen you on TV, I've seen you on all the documentaries, and
Sure.
read about you and heard about you, and it's a flippin' nice place, this bro. So
Thanks. Thank you
yeah.
very much.
How do you keep it going? How did you keep it going during the COVID thing and the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy, but I try to stick with the routine, or as much of the routine as possible. I've always trained 5-6 times a day. 5-6 times a week, twice a day. So I try to stick with that routine. Do the weightlifting in the morning, some more conditioning and cardio in the afternoon. So I try to stick with that routine, and it actually worked pretty well. And that was all set up at my house. So we took equipment. I took rowers, I took barbells, I took some plates and kettlebells and whatnot to the house. So at least for the first, I think it was 5 weeks, we were in complete lockdown, level 5. We trained at the house, and when I say we, my wife, the kids, the dog, everyone was running around. Yeah. So and then that's kind of been the first 5 weeks, and then after that we started coming to the gym to do a little bit more gymnastics work and stuff that I hadn't done at the house. Yeah.
And keeping the gym alive in terms of membership and all your overheads and stuff, has it been a tough period?
It has been tough. It's also, you know, the landlord accommodated us. We kind of chatted to him and said, listen, with, you know, no members coming through, we are falling short on membership. Guys were cancelling as well. You know, some lost their jobs, unfortunately. Yeah. And just, the whole economy is like gone through turmoil. So we getting helped out with the rent. We've offered our membership to pay, 50%. But also before lockdown, we lent out equipment for the guys.
Okay, cool.
And then we did home programming. So there are workouts that the guys can keep motivated and training during lockdown
yeah.
as well. So that kind of helped them out as well. And then we charge 50% because we can't do obviously the group classes at the gym.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And you guys are starting to open up now slowly, or some of the gyms are.
Yeah, we're starting to get a few feet through the door. We've got my brother. He's doing a bit more privates. So we got those guys coming through. At least it's only one-on-one. It's not big group classes. And I think maybe the next couple of weeks or week we'll look at bringing in a few members, but like very restricted. So 6 to 8 members at a time, certain stations. So yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So as I was telling you before we started, I put out a thing on Instagram where people could send through questions that they wanted me to ask you, and I want to use this to deal with the stigma of CrossFit.
Okay.
Because the first 4 questions I got were all about why do people that do CrossFit have to tell you that they do CrossFit? Can you answer that? Why do people have to talk about it?
Yeah, why they always talk about it. Me personally, I don't obviously go out and tell everyone. So, from my side, I just keep it hush. When someone asks me, then I'll tell them. But I think where it comes from, and I've heard it a lot, so it does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't. But I think what happens when guys get into the gym or into the CrossFit gym, you kind of form a community with the members that you're training with. And it's very social. And you build a community, within that class that you go to or whatever. So I kind of feel or think that people go out there and tell people to try and encourage people to draw them in and kind of experience what they're experiencing on their everyday training, So it's more community. It's not you going to the gym and just picking a machine and training in a machine. Yeah. You're kind of all suffering or going through the workouts together. So I think that's, they kind of want to tell everyone they're doing CrossFit to draw people in to, join the community that they're involved in.
Yeah. I also feel a lot of the times the people that you think are the guys doing CrossFit, that's a very small group of the CrossFit community. A lot of the CrossFit community are middle-aged men and women that are just trying to get fit. Maybe for the first time they found something that means something to them. For sure. So they talk about it because it's something that's giving them a new identity.
Yeah, for sure. And you kind of get like sort of a passion for coming to the gym and training with friends and family members if they come through as well. But it's not. When we initially opened up the gym, we found that we wanted to motivate people to compete and be competitive, kind of like we were, to drive people to be like that. And then we kind of realized after months down the line that people just want to come be a part of a gym, part of the community. They want to sweat it out and be fit and healthy, and it kind of changed our mindset that that's what it's actually all about. It's not really about trying to push the guys to be CrossFit athletes. Yeah.
So the next question is, do you own any shirts that doesn't say CrossFit on
them? I do. And I don't, I'm sponsored by Nike. I'm very proud to be. So all my gear is pretty much Nike, and that's pretty much all I wear.
And then this guy, and I think you know this guy, well, I know you know him. He wants to know, why is your neck so thick?
My neck?
Yeah.
That I have no idea. Maybe it's genetic. Maybe, I don't know. It must be genetic.
That was Edwin from
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Cool. So I want to just chat about the CrossFitters community because you mentioned that. How important is the brand CrossFit, and how important is it that it's just more of a community and people coming together?
Yeah, like I said, when guys are coming through, like I see through my eyes as a coach and an athlete, you see guys coming through to the gym and it's the everyday male, female, guys that just want to be healthy and active. And they're coming into a gym, a CrossFit gym, where you have other people, the same mindsets. It's not all these big guys built like, to the brick. They're coming through, they're just average people, and they're just sweating it out, doing, pretty much the program we're programming. And I think that's what it's more about, is more about coming here and enjoying it and being part of the community. It's not coming here having to do something, or I've got to wake up and do a 10K run because I'm training for the comrades, or I have to run 50Ks. It's like, guys wake up and they don't want to do it, whereas guys when they come here, they want to wake up 4 o'clock in the morning, arrive here and, sweat it out for an hour with the guys at 5 a.m. So, that's kind of like what I see. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said about gymming or exercising in a group and having someone pushing you, the class instructor. Because when you go to the gym by yourself or you go to run by yourself, you got to motivate yourself. But when people are expecting you to be there, you've signed up, so the coach is expecting you to come.
For sure.
All of that type of stuff. And then when you're there, when I go to the gym by myself, I'll do half of what I want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you have someone pushing you, you end up doing more than you want to do.
Yeah. I find it, for myself, I can motivate myself to train by myself and do the workouts and get through the work myself. But, like you said, like average people, they find it difficult to do it themselves, where if there is a group or other friends or members that are going to be at the classes, then they'll obviously pitch up and get through the work.
Yeah.
I chatted to a guy the other day, and he said he finds it very difficult to do the home workouts, or sometimes, like you said, he'll do half the work and then he just stops.
Yeah.
Because if you're not into a group or you don't have other people pushing you or motivating you, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So that's why this plays a big role.
Yeah. Have you guys been just sending out workouts, or have you been doing like a Zoom live session?
So we tried 1 or 2 online not classes, but we just did live feed through Instagram. With connection and everything at the house, it was very difficult, especially with the kids and dogs running around. We found it just like a logistical nightmare. So we kind of just sent out programs for guys to do. So at least, the guys can do the workouts and stuff, Yeah.
How have you managed to balance how many kids have you got?
3.
You got 3 kids and the wife, and now you just said you train 6 days a week, twice a day. How do you balance all of that?
It's not easy. I'm at the gym. I get here 3:30 in the morning to train before the 5 a.m. class. Take the 5 a.m. class, then I'm back at home by about 6:30, and that's to get the kids ready for school. My wife takes my 2 boys to Rivonia. They get there by, say, 6:45, and then I'm running my daughter to nursery school at about 7.
Wow.
And then I get back here for an 8 a.m. Class in the morning.
Yes. And then if you're waking up at what, 3:30?
No, I'm waking up at 3 and I'm at the gym at 3:30.
So what time do you go to bed then?
And usually about 9.
Okay.
So by 9 o'clock, I'm slipping into a coma.
Yeah. So you don't get your 8 hours of sleep, but you get enough sleep, it seems.
Yeah. Since we opened the gym, I've kind of done that routine, and that's been for the last 7 years.
Yeah.
So I just feel it works for me. In the beginning, when we first opened, I was waking up at, I think, about 4:30 to get to the class and take the 5 a.m. without training before. And I just felt myself so lethargic and no energy. And I said, something has to change.
Yeah.
And that's when I decided to train before the class. And it was just such a big difference. I was just so energetic. It makes a difference for the members when they come in through the door, and if they see you all lazy and tired, they're going to feel the exact same.
Yeah.
But if you full of energy
just
and
put in a session.
Yeah, exactly. Then they aim for the class, which is lekker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you motivate yourself? How do you get up every morning?
I must be honest, every week I ask myself, what the hell am I doing? Especially at 3:30 when you're the only one here and it's freezing cold, 1 degree. But, I can't speak for everyone, but myself, I think being a competitive athlete and kind of knowing that you there with the top athletes, firstly you need to maintain it, so you can't just slack off and 4 months on, 3 months off, this routine that I used to follow, which doesn't work. You're kind of putting in the hours and the effort all the time to better yourself for those and better prepare yourself for those competitions. Because if you're not, you kind of just fall off the ladder. That's kind of what motivates me. And as long as I'm there, I think I'll keep pushing myself to stay there. Yeah.
So with the CrossFit, there's a lot of you have the open, that's like an online leaderboard. It's quite easy to measure yourself throughout the year against the rest of the athletes around the world. Is that what you're saying? That just knowing that you're still part of that, top 50, top 40 in the world? Yeah. Is that what kind of keeps you?
Definitely. It's the open is the one aspect, because it's all online and guys do the workouts at their in the comfort of their own gym,
Yeah.
which is a little bit difficult to judge sometimes, because you'll get amazing athletes doing amazing workouts during the open, and then you go to a competition and the guys don't even feature in the top 10 or 20.
Yeah.
So you kind of get that different aspect of open online workouts, and then you get to a real live competition where you got to sit next or stand next to your competitors and kind of go through the weekend, and those guys kind of fall off the bandwagon. So I prefer the competitions where you've got your competitors next to you, and that's where I feature pretty well.
Yeah.
And as long as I'm there with the top guys, then I'll keep pushing to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just paint the picture. So you came 10th in the 2017 CrossFit Games, right?
Yes,
so that's basically saying you were the 10th fittest person in the world.
Yeah.
And I just want you to clear up why people can say that the CrossFit athletes are the fittest in the world, because a lot of my friends that do triathlons and things get upset with that because they think it's just throwing weights around. But you guys do triathlons within the CrossFit Games, and you're swimming 2 kilometer swims, and so just explain what type of stuff you guys do at the games.
So I mean, when someone asks me what is CrossFit, I just pretty much tell them it's every aspect of fitness in kind of in one bubble.
Yeah.
You're kind of doing everything. It's running, cycling, obstacle courses. There is weightlifting. There's gymnastics, body weight movements. Pretty much anything and everything. And I think why CrossFit claim the fittest on earth is because they try and find the best overall athlete among those different fitness aspects.
Yeah.
You might get a triathlete. He's an amazing triathlete, but then you give him a barbell and he can't lift it over his head.
Yeah.
And vice versa, you get an amazing weightlifter, but he can't run 1K.
Yeah.
He's going to fall over and have a heart attack.
Yeah.
So I think what CrossFit they try and do is bring that circle as close together in the middle as possible. And if you are the more in the center that you are, I think the best overall athlete you'll be.
Yeah. Because they do some sprint events at the games. They've even done a run, swim.
Yeah, we did that in 2017. Yeah.
Yeah, and and they've even started to introduce shooting. I saw some shooting events.
Yeah, so I think they did that at the Rogue Invitational last year.
Okay.
It's called a biathlon, I think.
Yeah.
So they did with a ski erg to get the heart rate up.
Yeah.
And then you had to hit 3 targets then carry on. I think it was like a 3-round thing.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. But I think it was just testing your accuracy and like how calm you can be under fatigue.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if I could say CrossFit, there is no limit. I mean, I think one of the years they had a throwing competition. How far could you throw a ball?
Yeah.
And the one year was a long distance jump from a standstill position. So, they're kind of trying to test everything and everything. Yeah, anything and everything.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it fun to watch as a spectator, because if you think you're going to put on YouTube and just watch people lifting weights, it can get boring, but you're watching like these heavy weightlifters swimming 2 kilometers and shooting at a target and stuff.
Exactly.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's a fun thing, and that's also what kind of motivates the top competitors and like myself. You're always trying to find different things to be better at. I mean, you'll get to a competition and all of a sudden they've got something new. You're like, oh my goodness, I've never done this before, which I love. But then after that, you'll come to the gym and you'll practice, and then all of a sudden you're better at it. And then, next competition, there's something else, So there's always something to improve on. It's not just coming to the gym and lifting weights and then you go home and then come back, lift weights. It's always working on like weaknesses. You get your weakness list and your strength list. You've got to maintain your strengths and kind of reduce your weakness list, So it's,
and that list keeps growing as they add more and more type of exercises.
And then either it's in the weakness list or it's a strength, and you just maintain it. So
And then how would you go about training for like swimming? Because there's no dam, open water close by.
I must be honest, I'm not the best swimmer. I never have been. I mean, for 2017, I went through three training sessions a week, I think for about 2 months up until the games, with a swimming coach. So I thought I was pretty good at swimming until I got to the games and actually did the swim. I almost had a heart attack in the water. And I just kind of realized after that, either you're a good swimmer or you're not.
Yeah.
I think what I can do for preparation for comps in the future is just, try and maintain the swimming, be comfortable in the water. Don't try to be the best swimming athlete, because I'm not a swimmer.
Yeah, and then you'll make up in the things that you are strong in.
Yeah, exactly. You just try and not be terrible at it, but you try and kind of stay in the middle, which is the goal. Yeah.
So what are your strengths in CrossFit?
Well, weightlifting is definitely a strength. With the strength background of the gym training before. And I'm actually, funnily enough, quite a good runner as well.
Yeah.
Those are quite good strengths. Anything to do with a barbell, lifting weights, moving weights. Gymnastics, probably not so much because I'm a bit of a heavier athlete.
Yeah.
I weigh about 92 kilos average. The weightlifting side, and then like running and stuff, as I said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I try and dig into the mental side of performance and what makes people great, I try and find like the craziest things a human has ever achieved. Like, I don't know if you watched that movie with the guy that climbs the mountain free solo.
No.
So he climbs up this like 3-kilometer mountain with no cable. So if he falls, he's dead. Like, yeah. And one of the things that I think I'll die personally doing is the 42-kilometer row that you guys did. Were you there that year?
Fortunately, I was not there.
Oh, okay. Well, but you saw it.
I did.
They had to row a marathon, right? So
yeah.
on the rowing machine.
Yeah.
How do you get through that? How do you mentally prepare for something like that?
I thankfully was not there that year, and I've spoken to a few of the athletes that were. They said it was probably the worst thing they've ever done.
Yeah.
To sit on a rower for 3.5 hours, I mean, it's just like the worst thing I can think of.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even try and train or practice for it because it's just nothing I'll ever want to do.
No, it's crazy.
But the thing is, like, you're at the games, and I mean, it's the top of the top competition in the world, CrossFit comp. So, you're kind of there with all the other 39 athletes. They're all going to suffer the same as you. So you might as well just get on and get through it, know.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's nothing I would try and practice for or try and attempt.
Yeah.
But if I had to do it, you just kind of, they said the athletes that did it said it was more of a mental thing, just to like switch off and just keep pulling that thing. Yeah.
That mental thing that switches off, like, or that you can't be thinking. You can't be thinking about how sore you are. You can't be thinking about, I've just got to sit here for 3.5 hours now. How do you get into that spot? Because you have to do that in training as well to be able to be prepared for
sure.
So what do you do to get into that switching off moment where it's just resilience?
I mean, it's not easy, but it's how can I put this? You're trying to train or trying to put yourself in training into the position that you're going to be into with comps and stuff.
Yeah.
You kind of get to a point in the middle of a workout, you might have a few more reps to do or this or that, and you kind of, you come in this far to just all of a sudden fall off the bandwagon, you're just going to jump up and keep going.
Yeah.
So, I just feel that either you've got the mental toughness, and I don't think it's something that you can train for. Either you have it or you don't. I think, there's a lot of people that, they rather just give up than continue to fight and, fight for what they're trying to achieve. So it's a hard balance, actually.
Yeah.
But I just feel myself, I can switch off and just, you need to get through something, you need to get through something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you remember yourself being that type of person since you were small?
Yes, I think I've always been competitive.
Yeah.
Having to switch off and just gung-ho for everything. Not always, but I'm also a little bit reserved, so I kind of am able to judge yes or no. So, but I've always been that guy to kind of push the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
Especially with motocross and stuff, there's not, I mean, if you slack off or you take it easy in a race, I mean, you're not going to be anywhere competitive in a race. You're just going to always be at the back somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's kind of where maybe that motocross helped me a little bit, just to have that mindset of it's either go or no.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So one of the problems I'm trying to solve in the mental skills part of sports is that resilience and that mental strength, that motivation that comes from inside. No goal that you set is going to push you there. It's got to be something that's coming from deep inside. Is that something that you're born with? Is that nature or nurture? Is resilience, mental strength, not giving up, all those things you want to call it, is that nature or nurture?
I feel it is definitely, I think you've born with it inside you. Whether you want to continue and bring it out is up to you. But I think, there's certain people in the world that are born. I'm not saying I'm born with it.
Yeah.
I'm just fortunate enough that I can bring it out. I mean, I'm not the best in the world, but I have that in me to, to fight and to keep going and to, you kind of just, I think, like I said, you are kind of born with it.
Because you've been hanging around and you're part of the top 30, 40, 50 athletes in the world for a number of years now. So when you look at them and you spend time with them, does it seem like they all have that something that the rest of us don't have?
For sure, definitely.
Is it?
Yeah, definitely. It's like I said, you get a lot of, you might not be born with it, but you still want to fight. And those people that don't have it will probably have to fight a little bit harder, to achieve that. And then maybe, it develops inside of them. When you get the taste of victory is when you'll fight for it even harder. Yeah. Like I said, when I'm at the top or on the ladder, I'll keep fighting. If I fall off, it's I hate for the day to come. But like, what will I train for? What will I fight for? What will I push so hard in the gym for?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I watched a interview with Matt Fraser, who said in the start of his career he was only competing for the money because he made $500 on one event, and you realized, hey, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So what is your motivation outside of your own? Sorry, I'm just looking at those shirts and I just realized what they are. They're pretty cool. Sorry about that.
Nice.
I lost my chain of thought when I saw that medal. Anyway, I'll put it on the camera just now so people can see it. But what is your outside, your external motivators? If it's not just about the money, what is it?
I must be honest, it's never been about the money for me. I think it's more about the label of who you are and like kind of the person that you are and how you want to be portrayed.
Yeah.
I'm not a fighter or anything, but I have that fighting spirit inside of me to do better, to do well.
Yeah.
Be competitive.
Yeah.
So, there might be a number of reasons why I do it. My family, my friends, my community, my gym members, my country, going to the games and representing for everyone, that aspires to be at the games one day. That's kind of why I do it.
Yeah.
Back when I first started, like in 2012, 2013, when I was trying to get competitive or be competitive, it was kind of more of a personal thing to just be up there with the top guys. Yeah. And once I was kind of there, I think everything else, like I said, friends, family members kind of motivated me to do better at the games and at the big comps as well.
You are a leader in the CrossFit community in South Africa. Everyone knows you. You've consistently been at the top. I think you've won the South African part of the Open since 2014 consistently. So do you feel that responsibility as well, that you got to keep representing the people below you? I
think so, yeah. It kind of, the year comes around again, or that time comes around and you kind of feel, okay, now I've got to prove myself again.
Yeah.
Not that I have to prove myself, because I've been there, I've done it, but I think just inside of me, like I said, you have that competitive edge that you just got to go out there and do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're 35 years old now. I think Sam Briggs, I watched, she was 38 now.
38, yeah.
And she's still going strong.
Crazy,
is there any end in sight for you in competitive CrossFit?
It's funny you say that, because every time someone asks me, I'm 36 next month, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm 2 years younger than Sam. She's 38. And I always say, as long as she's going, I think I'm going to keep going.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
She is a machine and a beast. So yeah, for her to be at 38 and she's still winning comps and still being so competitive.
Yeah.
I think, if she can do it, then I might as well, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She can be the female representative for the old people. I'll be the male.
The male, yeah.
Yeah.
if you think about the CrossFit Games and all the other events you've taken part in, so you've done the Dubai Championship, what is the most memorable one? And then also just talk about your best achievements at these competitions.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of nice comps outside of the games, like the Dubai Champs. I competed at the Cyprus, the Aphrodite Games for a few years. I must be honest, we were talking about prize money earlier. That's probably one of the reasons why I went there. The prize money was very good, but also there were very high quality athletes there, top athletes that went to compete there. So there's a lot of comps outside of the games that I love and enjoy, but I think the highlight was probably the 2017 games. I mean, it was just something I'd been fighting for or trying to achieve for so long, since I started in 2009 at the comps trying to get to the games, for it to eventually happen and for me to be there and for me to do so well was just like a highlight of the year, and probably my whole CrossFit career.
Wow,
yeah.
Talk about the games a little bit. So when we're watching it on YouTube or the documentaries, you only see them interviewing the athletes and then they competing. But what happens behind the scenes? How much of your time behind the scenes is recovery, warm-ups, and like how do they go about the diets and the meal plans and things?
Yeah, I mean, it's not, unless there's a lot of the top guys that have nutritionists and guys helping them, massages and everything. All I had at the games was my brother. He ran to the canteen the whole time, gave me some food, feed me when I could eat.
Wow.
Yeah. And then you're just pretty much waiting around in the warm-up area, waiting for your heats to come up. But yeah, it's like pretty much every comp that you get, that you've competed in here, you get your warm-up areas and you're trying to recover as best as possible for what's coming up next. I think most of the time during the games, we didn't know what was coming up.
Yeah.
So we'd get called to an area, get told what the workout is, and then all of a sudden you're warming up to do that workout. So, that fun, not knowing what you're going to do aspect I also really enjoy, because the guys didn't have much to prepare for it. Whereas I, off the cuff workouts, I'm actually probably better at than preparing for workouts. Yeah. So it was pretty awesome.
So how much of your off time is controlled by the event? So they put you in hotels. Do they have like evening like functions for you guys and stuff, or is it as soon as you're done competing, you by yourself?
You're pretty much by yourself. I think 2017 was probably the first year where they didn't cart all the athletes to the events like in buses like they've done years before. You kind of found your own way there, found your own way back. Most of the times we were sitting outside the stadium waiting for Ubers to take us back to the hotel. It was my first time there, so I didn't know what to expect. I was, previous years they always had a bus or a shuttle for the athletes, and this year they didn't in 2017. So you kind of caught unawares and you're waiting for taxis, and then you're getting to bed so late you're hardly getting anything to eat, and then you just, you got kids. We took the kids with as well, so you got kids running around in the room, and it was just like havoc. But you're trying to not only always keep your mind on the competition, so it was nice to have that distraction as well, but then also game time, at least in the arena, the kids weren't there and stuff, so it was kind of just myself and my brother, like kind of mentally preparing for the competition. What
type of mental preparation would that be? Just talking through the event and stuff?
I think you're kind of trying to get focused on competition or the workout, the movements. Being around all the athletes as well also helps. So when you have that distraction of the kids, it's good away from the comp, but then once you're in the comp, you're with the athletes, kind of get you in game mode, I feel.
And if you finish event 1 and then later that same day you'll maybe do event 2, how much time did they normally give you in between the events on the same day?
So, in the 2017 games, we started out, I think it was a Thursday or Friday, the first day, we did the run, swim, run, which was in the morning, which was a terrible event for me. And that was in the rain. When we got back, we had to get our gear on straight away. They took us into a bus and took us to our next event.
Wow.
I was the last heat of the males and females, and we waited in the bus for, I think, about 2 hours until our event.
Wow.
So they had water and stuff outside the bus, but you weren't allowed to go to the vent area to see what was happening. Otherwise, they kind of saw it as a disadvantage
Yes, yeah,
or
yeah.
an advantage for us. So yeah, they kept us in the bus for almost 2 hours, and then eventually went out and did our event, came back. I think an hour later, we were put on the bus to the next event, which was the obstacle course.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just in and out, and you just shuffling. You can hardly realize what's going on. You're just moving from one place to another, new gear on,
Yeah.
new gear off, and it's just all over the place.
crazy.
Yeah, you kind of like gotta center yourself and just kind of realize what's going on, what's happening around you, especially taking it all in. It's
Yeah.
very difficult. So yeah, it's quite hectic.
It's quite hectic.
Yeah.
And if you sitting in that bus for 2 hours, you've just ran and swam, whatever, 2 kilometers or 1.5. How do you recover other than eating? Do you just go and stretch a little bit, or is there any type of mobility work you do? Or
I mean, when you got the time to, but if you don't, like we never had there,
Yeah.
you getting put straight onto a bus, and then you got to go sit onto a bus. There's not much stretching you can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, recovery-wise, you just got to hope for the best, that your body just sticks with you and holds up till the end of the competition.
Yeah. Maybe a bit of a rub down or ice bath at night. Or,
Yeah. A lot of the
Yeah.
guys were jumping into the ice bars afterwards. I mean, I didn't feel that I needed to, so I just didn't. But yeah, that's kind of their way of recovering. I just felt that I, keep eating, just concentrate on the workouts next and whatnot. Yeah.
The build up to the games, do you specifically cycle your almost to have a season of when you're on top form and then an off season, like periodization, or do you just try and keep it up there the whole year, then you go to the games and keep going?
Yeah, that's my training used to be cycled. So I used to go through strength sessions or strength seasons and then taper down, more fitness. And I found myself getting quite injured a lot of the time. So I'd pick up injuries, and then kind of realized that I need to change something. And then just realized, let me try and maintain strength, maintain fitness all year round. Obviously, you try to pick it up just before comp or competitions, because then that's when you want to be at your peak. But pretty much year round, you're kind of doing the same thing all year round.
Yeah.
And I felt that it actually worked out for me quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had some hectic injuries from CrossFit?
Not too bad, not from CrossFit. I mean, I slipped a few discs, my back. But other than that, nothing major, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How healthy is CrossFit? Because there's quite a stigma about it that it's actually bad for you.
Bad for you, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you get that a lot. I do see how guys see that from CrossFit, because you get a lot of cowboys, if I can call it, or say that. When guys come in, they see, guys are doing ring muscle ups. Yeah, let me try that. First time they jump on the rings, tear their shoulder or whatever, and then it's like, that's kind of where you see that, what's the word I'm looking for? When they think they can do it, but there's no preparation, there's no warm up for it, there's no practice. You kind of got to wean your way into movements like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of where I see people say that CrossFit's bad for you. You get those guys that probably make it bad for the sport.
Yes.
And there's also maintenance. CrossFit isn't easy. It's pretty harsh on the body, but I mean, it's like anything. If you're gonna be going to the gym and putting your body through the paces, if you're not maintaining that with stretching, warming up properly, you're gonna pick up injuries.
Yeah.
It's like anything. Like a racing car doesn't go on the racetrack, race for 3 hours, then go sit in the garage and wait for the next race. No, it's stripping the wheels, everything gets stripped, the whole motor, put it back together. So it's kind of like I see is CrossFit. You got to put that maintenance in for the workouts or the racing that you're going to be doing. Yeah.
I think those type of injuries happen in any type of gymming exercise. If people aren't warming up properly, they're not,
for sure.
Their form isn't right, all of those things. But for some reason, because they say they do CrossFit, then it's like linked to doing CrossFit, but it's actually just linked to bad, preparation and bad warm downs or whatever.
And the thing is, like we said earlier, like you get a lot of middle-aged people joining CrossFit, and that's where the community comes in and everything. and where I find a lot of the time, people haven't done anything for a couple years. So they left school, and after school they didn't do anything for 5-10 years, and then all of a sudden they came to CrossFit.
Yeah.
CrossFit is very intense, depending on how you start out. So if you come here, you haven't done anything for 10 years, and all of a sudden you start doing pull-ups and jumping on the rings and throwing a bar over your head, you're going to pick up an injury.
Yeah.
So you kind of, I try and encourage the guys, start off slow, get into the movements, learn the movements before you just start adding weight and trying to break records and lift heavy weights. You know, the guys need to realize that they got to start off slow and then obviously build up.
Yeah.
You know, with the weights and the movements and the progression of the gymnastics and stuff.
Yeah. But when you're doing it in a class, so you've booked your group session, you coach the classes, you got about 15-20 people per class, am I right?
Yeah.
You actually enforce a warm up and a warm down.
Yes.
So if it's done in the group, the coaches, because you train that way, right, to take care of them, and you're an athlete yourself, so you know the importance of it.
Yeah.
But it's when people come by themselves and they start throwing unnecessary weights around, that's when the injuries happen.
Yeah, for sure. And it also happens in the class. I mean, you get guys, you know, they're feeling a little bit confident. They're looking, oh, geez, the weight's feeling quite light today. So they go a little bit heavier than usual. But, you know, their form is maybe not 100%. So, you know, you got to kind of try and find that balance where you got a comfortable weight, but your mobility or whatnot doesn't handle the movement so well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where the injuries get picked up, you know.
Yeah. Is mobility and like stretching and things, is that part of CrossFit's philosophy? Do they coach that in the online courses that you can do and stuff?
It's mobility and your movements, your position of your movements. So like a lot of guys come in and they haven't done anything for a couple of years, like I said, and your body loses that mobility, that flexibility. So if you haven't done anything, it's going to be hard to all of a sudden be great at it.
Yeah.
So stretching and stuff helps a lot because, you know, your ligaments, tendons, your body needs to learn how to start moving again. Just a simple movement like the air squat. If the guys can't air squat properly or get into full depth, they find it very difficult for other movements, like your wall balls and stuff. And they'll start picking up injuries, little injuries, like your knee might start hurting. But then that's just, you know, incorrect form.
Yeah.
And position of the squat. So it's kind of, we always try and encourage or get guys to move properly before going into like heavy movements and whatnot.
So if you're gymming 5 or 6 times a day, twice a day sometimes, 5 or 6 times a week, twice a day, what type of recovery and rest protocols do you follow on your off
probably
days?
the worst to ask. Yeah. I think with so little time that I've got, you know, you training guys, you trying to fit in your own training, then taking classes, running back to the house, getting kids to school. I found it very difficult for me to try and find time to stretch or roll or foam roll. So when I can, I do. It probably should be more often than I do. So I should probably do it once a day at least. But if it's twice a week, it's probably a lot for me.
But you do have a rest day.
Yeah,
once
so
a week
I train Monday to Wednesday, twice a day, and then Thursday I'll take off.
Okay.
Then Friday and Saturday as well, training, and Sunday take off.
Okay, so 2 rest days.
Yeah, 2 rest days, 5 days on. Unless I'm training for a comp, then I will train on Thursday and Sunday.
Yeah.
But it'll be more recovery work, so like either do a cycle, swim, run. It probably won't be a workout or lift any weights, but yeah, just working on those other elements, the cycle, running, or the swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what separates you from the rest of South Africa's CrossFitters, because you've won since 2014, you're in the top 50 more or less, you know, maybe even in the top 30, top 10 sometimes in the world. But what separates those top 50 from the rest of us? And then what separates Matt Fraser and Tia Toomey from the top 50, you know?
Yeah. Like I said, everyone's different. What motivated me was, I think, the belief that I could be there with the top guys. When I started CrossFit in 2008, my first comp was 2009. I came second. and then came second again after that. And then I was always the bridesmaid. Guys always used to call me the bridesmaid. I hated it.
Shame.
Yeah. And it kind of motivated me to not to come first, but to be up there with the top guys. And I kind of had the belief in me that I could do it, so I knew I would. You know, however long it took me, and it took me a long time. I mean, from 2009, it took me almost 10 years. But 9 years later, I went to the games.
Yeah.
So I had that belief that I could be there and be with the top guys. And once I started, you know, kind of investing in myself to go overseas and put in the time and the money to compete with the guys, once I started competing with them and doing better and hanging with the guys, or, you know, being up there with them, then I knew, okay, cool. Now it's just maintaining and keep going, different competitions, and then it just, like I said, once you're up there, you just want to stay there.
Yeah. Because you're doing this full time, right? It's either running the gym or training by yourself.
Training, yeah. So I do the training twice a day, run the gym, and I work with my father apart from this. So we own a business aside from this, which is plastic manufacturing and cable ties.
Okay.
So that we run apart from the gym and the training. So I'm not a full-time athlete.
You're not. Do you think if you'd say, okay, it's maybe a bit late now, you've obviously got kids, but let's say 10 years ago, if you dedicated yourself and said, I'm doing this full-time, this is the only thing I'm doing, you'd maybe even get close to winning the games? Do you think you have that?
I think if, coulda, woulda, shoulda, sure. But I think if you put in the time, and if you dedicate yourself to do it, I believe it's possible.
Yeah.
If I would have, or if I could have, then probably I can be.
Yeah.
I know I can hang with the top guys at the top, the Matt Frasers and stuff. It's never been a goal of mine to win the CrossFit Games, whereas his is.
Yeah.
And as long as he's competing, he's going to be a very difficult guy to beat.
Yeah.
Because his goal, and his one and only goal, is to win the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
It's like that belief. If he believes he can, he will. He didn't for the first year or two, I think, when he competed, but he knew that he could. So it just, like with me, I knew I could get to the games. I kept fighting for it. Took me forever, but I eventually got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a guy like Matt Fraser, he's definitely obsessed.
For sure.
It's a compulsive obsession almost, just to be better and keep being the best.
For sure.
Is that something that's needed to stay there, do you think? Or is that just a unique person?
It's firstly a unique person, but he definitely has it, and that's why he keeps winning.
Yeah.
His one and only goal at the games, and I could see it the first time I was there, first time I competed against him, is to win. Doesn't matter who's there, who's around him, who's competing. He's there for one reason and one reason only, and is to win.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, I'm sure he's going to be a very angry guy.
Could you see that just in the way he is?
For sure.
With the other athletes, maybe his focus and those type of things.
For sure. Yeah. And you kind of, I competed last year, 2019 as well.
Yeah.
You kind of saw it. I had the chance to compete for the first 2 or 3 days, and then I was kicked out because they had the eliminations. Yeah. And I watched the rest of the weekend, but I think it was the first time Matt Fraser wasn't leading halfway through the games.
Yeah.
And the guy who was, Noah Olsen, he's capable of winning as well, but you could see that he was there for the spectators and for everyone else but himself and winning.
Okay.
Whereas you saw Matt Fraser, he was there to win for himself, and that's it. And that's why he won at the end of the day.
Yeah. When
you see them lining up at the thing, Matt Fraser's got his head down, eyes forward. Noah Olsen's got his hand up and looking around, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what separates a champion to second place.
Yeah, well, that's one of my questions was when I evaluate the best of the best in the sport, so Roger Federer in tennis and Tiger Woods, all those guys work as hard as the next guy. They're all putting in the hours, they're all dedicated, but there's some something needed on top of the mental strength and the resilience. There needs to be some sort of an obsession if you're going to be the best.
For sure.
And a lot of times people around them would say they're not the friendliest people, or they don't talk much. It's because they're just so
focused on
zoned.
exactly. Yeah.
Is that the same?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Like I said, I've seen it from day one competing with the guy. I always thought he was arrogant, but later realized that, he's not there to make friends. Although he speaks to the guys, so it's not like he just blocks everyone away. He does speak to the guys, but you can see when it's go time in a workout or on the day, then he's focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say the same about Tia Tumi with the woman? Is she on that level as well?
For sure, yeah. And, with, I think, Tia and Matt, they're training together for the last year or 2 years, so they kind of feed off each other.
Yeah.
And she probably learned a lot from him. I don't see much of the ladies because we separated.
Yeah.
Most of the time, because the ladies are ladies and the guys are obviously, you lining up in your corrals and whatnot. But she's learned a lot from him.
Yeah. What did you make of the games, the change of the structure when they had, the top 40 or 30 competing the whole weekend, and then they invited all the national champs?
Yeah.
And there was an elimination up until the top 10 or something the last day, or just explain how that worked and what did you think of that?
Yeah, you know what? Things had to change in the system of the CrossFit Games, because you kind of only including the top 40, which, at the end of the day, you were finding the top 40 athletes. But to make an all-inclusive community CrossFit Games, they kind of had to change things up. And, the last year was the first year that they tried the national champions and this and that. Was it the best way? I don't feel that it was, but I think they're still trying to figure it out themselves.
Yeah.
So it's probably not the best way for now, but I think in the next couple of years they'll probably find a good system on how to get the games working nicely. And
so last year you qualified because you were South Africa's champion.
yes, yeah.
How did you qualify in 2017?
2017, so they had regionals. So you had the Open, then they had regionals, and then the games. Regionals was the top, I think, 40 athletes from your region. So ours was Africa and Europe combined. So top 20 from Africa, top 20 from Europe, and those top 40 athletes competed.
Wow.
And then, the top 5 from that went to the CrossFit Games.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
just
and they
5.
had, just the top 5. And that kind of, at the games, you had the top 40 athletes from all the different regions, top 5 from each region, and that was your top 40 athletes. And that's all, those 40 athletes competed for the whole weekend.
Yeah. So you were one of the top 5 athletes in the whole of Africa and Europe.
Yes.
And then going to the games, you were in the top 10 of the whole world.
Yeah.
I think that's quite a spectacular achievement. I mean, I can assume
Thank you.
why you so proud of that and said that was probably your best achievement.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I even realized how hard it was to get there, especially 2017.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, it was definitely difficult.
yeah. How would someone from South Africa get there now if they're not? So you win the South African Open, you go to the games, but there might be another South African that's good enough to go there. How would they be able to qualify?
So what they've got now is sanctioned events. So I think there's 20 plus sanctioned events. It's kind of like the old regionals where private competitions around the world are held, and the top athlete from that competition will qualify to the games.
Yeah.
So you can get there by way of becoming the top 20 athlete after the Open, which is pretty difficult because you've got 200,000 plus athletes competing.
Yeah.
So you've got to come top 20, so that's in the world, or you've got to be a national champion, which is first in your country, or you've got to be a sanctioned winner.
Yeah.
And it becomes a bit tricky when you've come top 20 in the world in the Open and then you win a sanctioned event. Then they'll take second place from the sanction.
Okay, because you've
so
already
you'll
qualified.
automatically, because you've already qualified.
Yeah.
And if you're a national champion, that supersedes a sanctioned winner.
Okay.
So it becomes very difficult when you've got all these top athletes competing at all the sanctioned events. They could be taking 5th, 6th, 7th place of the sanctioned event to qualify for the games.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just what's happening.
Yeah, of course. And if you want to talk about this, we can skip over it. But just staying on CrossFit, the topic with Dave Castro, I know there was controversy with him after last year's games with Pat Vellner and all those guys that were upset with the way the thing went.
Yeah.
And now he's been made the new CEO.
Yes.
What is the CrossFit community's feeling about that, and what is your feeling about that?
Yeah, I mean, so much has happened. I kind of, this was actually last week, Monday, we woke up to the news, like CrossFit's going haywire.
Yeah.
Heard the news about Greg Glassman and what he had said and emailed and tweeted, and then all stories are coming out over the last week. But I'm not one to, go out there and say things, and I just kind of retract and pull back and rather listen, see what's happening, and then make a judgment call. But yeah, I mean, CrossFit all over the world there were flames everywhere. Guys were unaffiliating. Top athletes were pulling out from the games, pulling out from CrossFit. Maybe a bit of they probably reacted too quickly, after hearing the news. But, so be it. I'm one for just waiting, see what happens.
Yeah.
Things were bound to, change.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just sit back, wait, see what's going to happen, and then make a call from there. But so much has happened, and I'm sure there's a lot still to happen.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But I don't think the games are probably going to happen this year.
Oh, you think they're going to be?
Yeah, I think it'll be cancelled. I think there's quite a few top athletes that have pulled out already.
Yeah.
And especially with what's going on with travel around the world, I think it's going to be very difficult for athletes to even go and compete. So, we'll just have to see what happens. It's just like a chaos year, actually, to be honest.
So you were going to go this year, and then because of the new rules with the lockdown and the pandemic, you couldn't go anymore.
No.
They changed the way you qualified or something.
Yes,
right?
yeah. So I think if I'm not mistaken, they took the top 40 or top 30 that qualified through the Open.
Okay.
And that was it. I think this year I came 54th or 60th, somewhere around about there.
Yeah.
So I didn't qualify as the top 30 and wasn't going to go. So I'm kind of at ease with it.
Yeah.
But also, on the other hand, like, did I want to go under the circumstances that all this is going on around the world?
Yeah.
Some athletes aren't even able to train because they don't have the equipment or they're not in a gym.
Yeah.
This is happening all over the world. So it's not like it's just happening here. So would it have been a proper games test? I think not. Even with the 30 athletes that are going through, it's like, you're missing out on some top athletes that aren't going to be there.
Yeah.
So if it does get cancelled, I don't think it's going to be a train smash.
Yeah. Especially for you, because you were quite upset at the start when you heard you couldn't go, and now it might not happen. So it's not like you're missing out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So let's just get onto that. How do you normally deal with failures? Because obviously you go through a lot because you're not going to win every event.
No.
What's your process of dealing with failure?
Yeah, I think just thinking back and remembering what happened, or the times that when I was competing back in the day, or not back in the day, but previous years, you kind of, you're going through the sport where you are going to get to points where you're going to fail.
Yeah.
But it kind of prepares you for down the line. And, I kind of think you either take that as a learning experience or you take it as defeat and then kind of step back from what you're trying to achieve. And then, when I failed quite badly in 2014, I think it was, the regionals. I was supposed to go well. I should have gone to the games that year, and it was kind of something I've been working for so long. And then to have it so close and then get taken away from you, just from something so silly, and, I did fail. Like I was saying, I came back into the gym, I think the very next Monday, and I was just like, what the hell am I doing,
Yeah.
I think it took me pretty much that whole week to kind of realize, okay, are you going to learn from that experience and, push even harder? Or are you just going to say, okay, that was my chance, and that's it, and just kind of give up? And, I just said, you know what, it's a learning experience. It's a failure that I'm going to learn from for future events, future competitions. And I just took it and just learned from it and came back stronger actually. So I was actually very grateful that it did happen.
What happened though? What do you put the failure down to?
In all honesty, the 2013 year, I had quite a bad back injury in the beginning of 2013.
Okay.
2013 was kind of like a learning experience for regionals that we did in May, I think it was. And for the remainder of 2013, I kind of took a step back from competition and decided to just work on all my weaknesses, get stronger, get as fit as I could, and just like kind of block everything out and just do my own kind of training. It was good in a sense because I got very fit, I got very strong, my mindset was right. But when I came to competition in 2014, I got to the 2014 regionals, and it was the first comp I had done since 2013 regionals.
Okay.
And I think not competing for a whole year put my mind or my body I wasn't in a comfortable environment.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying, because competition actually is good for you. So if you're competing next to guys, you kind of want that competitive mindset and feeling and environment.
Yeah.
And if you're not used to it, and all of a sudden you come to a comp and it's like, oh shit, things are going not how I'd planned, or you're not in your comfort zone, you're not in your own gym. And it was a very good learning experience because I got to the 2014 regionals. I was prepared, but competitive state, just mentally, I don't think I was.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of made me, not get to where I needed to be.
Yeah. When you're like in a team sport like rugby and one player has an injury and he takes a year to get better, they speak about being match fit. So you can train all you want, but they got to get him slowly into the matches.
Exactly.
But individually, like in CrossFit, there's no space to become match fit because it's you and then you're done.
Yeah, you're just one person on your own.
Yeah,
exactly.
I want to just chat about the doping and the drugs, because this is also something we covered that we lost out on.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a big stigma that the people that do CrossFit can only do so much because they're all juicing and using drugs. Do you want to address that a little bit?
Yeah, listen, my belief is, I've been involved in the sport a long time. I think in every sport you're going to get doping. I mean, it's inevitable, whether you're playing golf or the most contact sports, rugby, soccer, whatever. CrossFit especially, because you've got so many different dynamics of the sport. Weightlifting, where you need strength, endurance, for runnings and swimming events. So it's going to happen. My belief is that CrossFit is a time, kind of, the longer you're in the sport, the better you become. You're kind of training your body to achieve the weightlifting goals, the gymnastics goals, the running, the swimming. It's something that takes time. You'll get those guys that want to miss a few steps and get there to the top, and those are the guys that'll do the juicing and the doping and whatnot. But you're kind of in the sport to be fit and healthy, and to go and detriment that by doing drugs and taking the shit that you need to try and get to the top. Guys come into the sport within the first year and they want to do all the things that someone's been doing for 10 years.
Yeah.
They want to all of a sudden be there. And they'll do the juice and take the doping and whatnot. And, I mean, you can just imagine what that's doing to their body.
Yeah, for sure.
So my belief is, health is number one. I think without it, looking after families and businesses and friends and whatnot is just, it's kind of not something that I would be seen or want to be, have done.
Yeah.
So health is very important to me. So especially with my health conditions, with the one kidney, and I lost a little bit of my liver as well, damaged my liver. So it's, if you're going to be taking that kind of stuff, it's going to just make your body even worse.
Yeah.
And, it might not seem as important when you're young and you jump into the sport and all of a sudden you want to be a good athlete. 10 years down the line, you're going to start feeling it on your body. And I think I'm kind of there at my age, 36 years old.
Yeah.
Health is quite an important thing. So you're kind of looking after yourself as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously in there has been cases so CrossFit can be done socially, and then you're not part of the professional movement. But in the professional movement, we've seen cases at the CrossFit Games. The one year that you were there, the guy that came third, Ricky.
Yes, Ricky. Yeah. So he was caught. It was actually his first year at the games as well.
Yeah.
And he was such a young, talented athlete. You know, for him to be taking what he was taking, to get busted, I think was like very silly because he was so young and talented. He had still many years to, you didn't have to be the best on his first year. So for him to take, whatever he was taking, I don't know, I was just don't see the point.
Yeah.
It was fortunate because when he got bust, I got bumped up to 10th. So
take it.
Yeah,
no
exactly.
How it comes.
Yeah.
So they obviously test you guys quite a lot when you're at the competition and things. Do they test you like now during your off season?
So during off, so every 3 months I got to let CrossFit know my whereabouts, what competitions I'm going to be doing and whatnot. So they kind of keep a roster on where I'm sure all the top athletes get the same email. So they kind of keep an eye on where you are and whatnot. And then during comps, the guys, they do random testing during the comps, especially during sanctionals now. They used to do it regionals and then obviously the games as well. Yeah.
I want to just move on to some of your daily routines. So we've spoken about your hectic life with the family and the businesses, and you wake up at 3 a.m. Just take us through your daily routine and how you can use your daily routine to just be mentally ready, Yeah,
so I think routine is a good thing. Obviously, always not, it can sometimes be a bad thing. But I think the more you kind of try and stick to routine, the better the outcome. I've seen that it helped me, sticking to a routine, especially for competitions and whatnot, like preparing, coming up for a weekend's competition or whatnot. Sticking to a routine always helps with your mindset going into a comp. I think, sometimes it works for people, sometimes it doesn't. I feel it works for me pretty well. And you kind of also got to try and find that routine that works for you. Not every routine will work for everybody.
So what are some of the things that you do in your daily routine? We know you wake up at 3, but what happens from there on in?
Yeah, well, you obviously, training that I can fit in before the 5 a.m. class. Obviously, I'll take the class 5 a.m. I come back at 8 a.m. to take the 8 a.m. class. And then from 9, I'd say till about lunchtime, kind of getting as much work done as possible with the businesses that I have outside of the gym and training. Oh, dear.
It's okay.
Should I go sit her down?
It's okay.
You sure?
As long as she doesn't bother you speaking. Then
No, that's fine. Okay.
That's cool.
Don't touch. Okay.
Hello.
Shame. Get as much work done as possible till lunchtime, and then from lunchtime it's kind of back to the gym at about 2 o'clock and get training done before the afternoon classes start. And then that's pretty much 5 days a week. And then the weekends you try and train as much as you can. In the morning we train for about say 2-3 hours in the morning. And then the rest of the weekend just kind of take off out of obviously competition phase.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
What are the 5 most important things in your life right now?
I remember you asking me this last time. And I actually thought about it afterwards. I was like, it was probably a silly answer.
So take 2.
I know I said, I think the last time was family, friends, and then obviously the gyms and business. But I think most important to me at this time of my life is probably fitness. I mean, not fitness, but health.
Health, yeah.
I think without the health, I wouldn't be here for my family, for my friends, businesses, gyms, people that look up to me. It's kind of the one thing, I think as you get older, you kind of think about it more. So health is definitely a key for me, especially after the accidents I had, losing my kidney. I kind of got to look after myself because every couple of years I go for tests just to check how the kidney's doing, functioning. Without the kidneys, you kind of, your body's not going to operate. So I think health is probably number one for me. And then obviously after that is family, friends, gyms, businesses, you kind of look after whatever you can that you've got going in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it changes.
So,
It
thanks for
changes
letting me answer that question correctly.
correctly. Yeah. So, I mean, it changes because when you're young, it's all about you kind of thing. And now you've got so many other things that you're responsible for to take care of. So,
you know, when you're young, you're looking after yourself. And then as you get older, you got everything else to look after. But I still think looking after yourself is a priority.
yeah.
Otherwise, everything you have got, you know, just kind of,
Yeah.
Not that they rely on you, but you're kind of there as a support,
Yeah.
and you're providing as well for the family and friends and everything you've got around you. So, yeah, it never falls away.
No, of course,
Always
yeah.
looking after yourself as well. So, yeah, it's
It almost becomes more important because
Yeah,
you've got to
exactly.
be ready every day to
exactly.
handle all the other things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your take on the current situation with CrossFit? We've just heard that it's been sold to a new guy.
Yes, yeah. So the whole dilemma with Greg and everything, I think he had to get out of the whole picture with what happened, what he said and whatnot. The new guy that's taken over, I'm not too sure. I don't really know about him.
Yeah.
I'm sure most of the guys in the States do. But yeah, CrossFit is a community-based sport. I think CrossFit will be around for a very long time.
Yeah.
Maybe the guy like Greg Glassman was a good thing that he's moving to the side and letting someone else take over. Just the way that CrossFit was kind of going, and the CrossFit Games, it just seemed to be like heading nowhere fast. Everyone was kind of uncertain, especially the top athletes, kind of uncertain what was going to be happening. It was more like CrossFit Health and everything that he was more fixated on and prioritizing, whereas the CrossFit Games kind of makes CrossFit, because without the top athletes that people aspire to be, CrossFit, I know, is just like a normal training regime as in your gym. So you kind of need those top athletes for other guys to not aspire to be, but just to look up to. You got your soccer players and your tennis players, and those are the top athletes in the sport, and you always, wow, if I could play like that one day. And people won't ever or will not all try, but, you kind of want to be kind of looking up to those top athletes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well,
Sure.
listen, thanks for doing this for the second time.
No, you're welcome. Sorry for all the distractions.
No. That's all cool.
So much going on.
It shows exactly what we've mentioned so many times, how you're juggling everything in your life.
Busy,
right now,
yeah. Crazy.
So just to let people know, we had some technical issues and had to retake the last 10 minutes of this episode.
Yes,
so that's done now. So thanks again, Jason.
No, you're
Appreciate
welcome.
it, man.
Shot, man. Thanks for having me.
Cool.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Cheers.